Hey there, folks. Welcome to my Retro MIDI room. Today I wanted to take a look at 10 metal albums from the 2000s that you need to check out. I don't know what came over me there. Anyway, we're going to check out 10 albums from the 2000s that if you love metal music and you're just a music lover in general, that you've got to check these albums out. They're absolutely legendary. All of them, from beginning to end, are excellent CDs. So let's start with Soilwork. So Soilwork is a Swedish metal band. They're a melodic metal band. You're going to hear that a lot on this list, a lot of Swedish bands, a lot of melodic metal bands. But Soilwork is something special. Speed Strid, who's the lead singer, he's an incredible vocalist. He's incredible to the point where he's actually given vocal lessons, because not only is he amazing at growling and screaming, he has an incredible, clean singing voice, an incredible talent. He's with them to this day. This album, in my opinion, is Soilwork's opus. It was the best era for not only him, but the guitarist at the time that they had, who wrote most of the songs, their keyboard player, the drummer was amazing. Everything about this just came together so well. And part of that reason is because it was produced by Devin Townsend. Devin Townsend, who is my favorite artist of all time. We'll get into more of him later on in the list. You'll see. And he's incredible at producing not only his own work, but when he used to produce other people's work. And this is one of those examples, and I would argue this is his best work that he ever produced. So yeah, Natural Born Chaos, if you just listen to As We Speak or Flame Out, I mean, you'll find out real quick how incredible this album is. And the whole thing is solid and consistent. If you just want a really good melodic, heavy yet melodic metal experience and you've never heard Soilwork, check out Natural Born Chaos. This album is amazing. 2002 and 2003 were an incredible couple years of metal revival. And now the 2000s in general were, but really those 2 years, and you'll see why, were just incredible years in the world of metal. After the 90s was, the kind of the lull of metal with grunge rock and throughout all the 90s. And so metal, this was kind of a comeback, and I loved it. Next is a Swedish band that inspired Soilwork and many others. In Flames with their album Reroute to Remain. So this is yet another album from 2002. It is absolutely incredible. In Flames is an incredible band, and they are still to this day incredible. They've been around since the early 90s, so they've been around for a very long time, well over 30 years. But this album in particular for me was what made me a fan, over 22 years ago now. And when you go back and you listen to it, I mean, it's just a timeless album. This is the re-release of the album that they did in 2014. But man, just you listen to the title track, Reroute to Remain, or the whole thing for that matter. There's so many amazing tracks on here. The entire album is rock solid, which you don't see, to be honest, for even albums I do like and bands I do like. You don't see albums very often that are rock solid, or song to song to song. They're all great. This is one of those albums, just like that Natural Born Chaos of Soilwork is a rock solid album. So you cannot go wrong with this if you want really heavy yet melodic metal with awesome grim vocals. Now, Anders Frieden has a very unique vocal style where it's mostly screaming, but he also has a melodic side to him that's really his own unique tone that is absolutely different. You just got to check out this album. It's just something else. And In Flames, and really any of their stuff, but this is my favorite album from In Flames. Next is yet another Swedish melodic metal band with deep ties to In Flames. Dark Tranquillity with their 2002 album Damage Done. So the lead singer of Dark Tranquillity, who's an incredible singer. He has both amazing growling, deeper vocals with actual singing vocals that he used to not do all the time, but he's kind of done intermittently throughout time. When he does it, it's actually really good. Actually, it's funny enough, it reminds me of my dad. That my dad was a pastor and used to sing in the church. So funny enough, he reminds me of him. But once again, we're looking at 2002 here. I mean, 2002 is with Reroute to Remain and Soilwork, Natural Born Chaos, and Dark Tranquillity, Damage Done here released from that same year. Man, it was just what a time to be alive. Whether it be you were a existing metal fan, finding new stuff that was finally really groundbreaking, or in my case, kind of waking up to metal. And there's an album on this list that I'm actually that's gonna touch on that. What woke me up to metal, what brought me to metal. So yeah, Dark Tranquillity, they're just an incredible band. Honestly, a weird way to put it is they're low key amazing. They're low key incredible. They just kind of do their thing. And it's almost like they're not even trying, and they're just amazing. I mean, I saw them live, Kane's Ballroom in Tulsa, and they were just as amazing live as they are on album. They're just incredible talent. They're legendary. They've been around for decades, And this has always been my favorite album from them. And they have many others, like the other guys, they have many other great albums worth checking out. But if you're going to start with one, check out Damage Done. You can't go wrong with this one. Next is a Swedish metal band, more on the progressive side of things, Opeth Blackwater Park. So this was the album and the band that truly got me to appreciate death metal. See, the other guys being more of a, they're more melodic metal. They're, and then they vary, they're kind of like sprinkles of death, sprinkles of speed, but a lot of melody. This is straight up absolutely has strong death metal aspects to it, but it's also extremely melodic, long tracks, a lot of complexity, very progressive. So if you like, progressive, long, drawn out songs with a lot of complexity and a lot of different riffs and changing up of songs where it's almost like 2 songs or 3 songs in one. I mean, Blackwater Park is just, it is a masterclass at doing that, even for people that aren't even, for like me, I wasn't used to that listening to this. I fell in love with it as somebody not being used to death metal, not being used to something like Tool or, longer, more complex stuff. This was my introduction to progressive death metal or progressive metal or progressive rock or anything like that. And I fell in love with it. And it's really amazing. It's really, truly amazing. This is, in my opinion, this is Opeth's opus. And just like the other guys, I think the way Reroute to Remain is In Flames opus, I think this is Opeth. So I know it's a lot of op, but but anyway, yeah, Opeth Blackwater Park, you should definitely check it out. Next is an American metal band that I would say redefined metalcore. Killswitch Engage with their 2004 album, The End of Heartache. So this is when Howard Jones stepped in to replace their original lead singer at the time. Nowadays, their original lead singer came back, and he's currently singing for them. He's also amazing, and he's collabed with Howard Jones. But this was when Howard Jones stepped in full time, and it's my personal favorite era of Killswitch Engage. I love this album. It is a super solid album from beginning to end. Rose of Sharon is my favorite song from them. I just remember how cool the music video was, and watching it on MTV2 versus some of the other metal songs they're playing at the time, and it just blew them out of the water. Like it was just so good. So, and like I said about metalcore, and also Adam Derkowitz there in the Bad Seat. Adam Derkowitz is easily one of the most talented men in the entire metal industry. He writes, sings, drums, guitar, produce. I mean, he does everything, right? He's an incredible talent. He's produced All That Remains. He's produced numerous bands. He's collabed with numerous people. I would say he's like the king of metalcore, in my honest opinion. He is the king of metalcore. Like his style, his flair, what he brings with his talent and his style. I would say if you're going to define what metalcore is, it's Killswitch Engage, and it's what Adam Derkowitz does, right? So, yeah, you can't go wrong with this album. If you've never heard Killswitch Engage, or you've heard some of their stuff and you're not sure what album to start with, give The End of Heartache a try. Next is more of an unorthodox metal album. Strapping Young Lad, Alien from 2005. So like I said before, I'm a little biased with Devin Townsend. He's my favorite artist of all time, but it's for a good reason, because he's an ultra mega talent. He writes, mixes, and produces all of his own work. So Strapping Young Lad, he formed in the 90s after he toured with Steve Vai, while at the same time managing the Devin Townsend band that he did, which was more of like, you kind of had Devin Townsend, the Devin Townsend band, and then Strapping Young Lad. And this was the second to last album that Strapping Young Lad put out. After this one, they put out The New Black, which came out only a year later in 2006, which is also an incredible album. But this album is my personal favorite from 2005 because of the song Possessions, which was the first song I ever heard Devin Townsend do outside of his producing. So the way he produced Natural Born Chaos, that was the only way I was familiar with him, was the fact that he was a producer. And that's all I knew of him. And that was only what he did on the side. Obviously, his primary thing was making his own music. So I listened to Possessions off of a music demo disc and was blown away. And like, what? I was like, wow, he does his own incredible music, and obviously produces his own as well as producing other people, which I'll touch on again later on his later work. So Strapping Young Lad, they've got all sorts of great work, but Alien, if you're kind of unfamiliar with Strapping Young Lad, and you want to kind of see what they're about, I would say Alien is a good way to check them out. Really, really cool album. It's like I said, unorthodox. It's a little bit different, but it's heavy hitting, experimental, really like catchy, and cool riffs and really unique beats. The drummer is incredible. Devin Townsend's guitar work and vocals are insane. So yeah, you should absolutely check out Alien from Strapping Young Lad. Next is an Italian metal band, Lacuna Coil, Karma Code from 2006. So from this point all the way up to like 2012 was the best era for Lacuna Coil, in my opinion. Their newer stuff's okay, but I would say the last peak of them was about 2012. Also an excellent album. That's going to be another list. But as far as the 2000s, Karma Code, I wod say best represents their sound. And it's a really solid album. Has an awesome cover of Enjoy the Silence at the end of it. There's a lot of hits on here. Very, very good stuff. Christina Scavia is a very good singer. What makes her stand out is just how unique she is. I don't know of any other female metal singer that sounds like her. And the guy who does the side vocals with her, he's always been very good and unique. Both of them are unique. That's the thing. Both of them don't sound like anybody else. So, and the good riffs, good drums, good production, everything about it's solid. So yeah, if you want to check out something that's not quite as heavy in the metal vein, more goth metal vein, but catchy and well done and a little bit easier to listen to, check out Lacuna Coil, Karma Code. Next is yet another Swedish metal band that are melodic death metal, Scar Symmetry, Holographic Universe. These guys have always been absolutely incredible. This was the third major studio album that they came out with in 2008. Christian Alverstam is a mega talent, incredible vocalist. He is just as amazing at growling as he is at singing, very much like Mikael Åkerfeldt. In fact, that's what made me fall in love with this band, is that I was already a fan of Opeth, and he was the best I've ever heard since Mikael Åkerfeldt, and how he's able to do both. He's able to switch back and forth between the two, and he's just as good at both. To the point where when they replaced him later on down the road, it took two guys to replace what the one guy was capable of. So very incredible stuff here. This album is a perfect representation of what the band is about. Awesome songs, incredible riffs, great drums and guitars, everything you can mention, production values. I mean, this album is something else. It is catchy, easy to pick up and listen to. I mean, it's just, I can't say enough good things about it. All of Scar Symmetry's work is worth listening to, but this is my personal favorite from the band. This was from the golden era of Scar Symmetry with Christian Alverstam. So highly recommend to check it out. Next, we have some more music from Devin Townsend. Devin Townsend Project, Addicted from 2009. So Addicted is the second studio album from Devin Townsend Project, and Devin Townsend Project is essentially Devin Townsend Band that he formed in the 90s, and he rebranded them and reformed them after dismantling Strapping Young Lad, because he's always moving to the next thing, because the man cannot stop making music. He cannot stop being creative. And even though the first album of Project is very good, Addicted was the first album to really send what he was trying to do into the stratosphere. Strapping Young Lad is very heavy, very fast, and darker and different. You know, if you love that kind of metal, more thrashy, heavier, crazy stuff. Addicted, he went for more catchy, melodic, commercial, easier to pick up and listen to, not too heavy, but still very ambitious and still very unique, really awesome stuff. So for me personally, as much as I love Strapping, Devin Townsend Project is what made me fall in love with Devin's work and made me an ultra fan, because he does all facets of his sounds within Devin Townsend Project, because Devin has many sides to him in his art, and Devin Townsend Project and Addicted is a very good representation of that from this era. So yeah, I can't recommend any of his work enough, but Addicted, I would say, is a really solid example of the way Devin's newer work began to sound. So yeah, check out Addicted from Devin Townsend Project. Our last album is an American metal band that changed my personal course of history for music. Mushroomhead, Double X. So this is a 2001 album that the reason I even discovered it as a teenager was off of a PlayStation 2 demo disc. The music video was on the disc of the third track, Solitary Unraveling. I just remember how the moment I watched that video, it just changed. It spoke to my brain and changed my life in terms of the type of music I began to appreciate and want to find more of. It put me on the road to heavy metal. I never even thought about it. I hadn't considered it. I knew I liked cool. There was all sorts of stuff I grew up with that I liked, you know, various rock and pop and soundtracks and music and games and all sorts of stuff. But in terms of being a metal head, it was Solitary Unraveling in that music video that did it. That just transformed me in that instant. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if there's anything that did that for you, or growing up, it was that song or that video that just did it. It just clicked and it changed you from that moment on, right? And that's why I had to list this, because is it the greatest album ever? No. Is it better than all the other ones I've even listed? Not necessarily. It's a cool album, but the following album is actually even better. The other, objectively, the next album is a better album, but this is just has a deep personal importance to me because it's what started me on the journey. So yeah, that was 10 metal albums from the 2000s, basically from 2000 to 2010, that are legendary, worth checking out. If you're a music lover, metalhead, everything in between. I consider myself more of a music lover than just a metalhead because I listen to everything. So, but I have a deep love for metal and soundtracks and symphony orchestras simultaneously. So it's kind of funny. So yeah, please subscribe if you want to watch more and keep up with my videos, because I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so I can become monetized. Because until then, I'm just free floating, not monetized, nothing. So like the video, help me with the algorithm a little bit. So I absolutely appreciate you watching up to this point. God bless and take care.